The Nigean scout ship exploded in a cataclysmic blast of light and shrapnel, instantly vaporized by the raw, unfathomable power surging from Earth's oceans. On the bridge of his command ship, light years away, Supreme Chancellor Vox's eyes widened as he watched the scout's final transmission. The reptilian leader realized this primitive blue planet harbored an energy source beyond anything the Galactic Empire had ever witnessed. Vox immediately summoned the Nigean High Council, revealing the staggering potential of harnessing Earth's oceanic power. Visions of eternal dominion over the galaxy danced in their hungry eyes. The Empire would stop at nothing to claim this world-shaking resource. As the Nigeans schemed, xenobiologist Dr. Brian Jenkins awoke to blaring alarms in his top-secret underwater lab off the California coast. Sensors had detected the alien ship's catastrophic encounter with the churning seas. Data poured in, painting a grim picture. This was just the beginning of a war for Earth's very survival. Jenkins realized the horrible truth as he pored over the readings. Contrary to long-held beliefs, Earth's oceans were no mere expanses of water. A vast, ancient intelligence stirred in the inky depths, now rising to defend itself against the Nigean threat. The ocean's limitless energy was never meant for conquest, only protection. Caught between this brewing cosmic clash and an impending invasion, Jenkins faced a desperate race against time. He had to unravel the secrets of Earth's most powerful guardian and find a way to shield humanity from the ruthless machinations of a ravenous empire. The clock was ticking and billions of lives hung in the balance. For if the Nigeans took the oceans, they would take the world, and mankind would be reduced to ashes adrift in the solar winds. In the shadowy depths of the secret underwater facility, a grim-faced Dr. Jenkins gathered his hastily assembled team of experts. The xenobiologist's voice was tight with urgency as he laid out the chilling facts. "We have an unprecedented situation on our hands," Jenkins said, his eyes sweeping over the room. "An alien scout ship has been destroyed by an unknown energy emanating from our oceans. We believe this is just the beginning of a full-scale invasion." Dr. Samantha Lee, her face illuminated by the glow of a data screen, looked up sharply. "The readings are like nothing I've ever seen," she said, her voice tinged with awe and fear. "The amount of power required to vaporize a ship of that size." Commander Jake Razor Sullivan, his weathered face etched with steadfast perseverance, nodded. "We need to act fast," he said, his voice a low growl. "If these aliens get their hands on this kind of energy, it's game over for all of us." As the team pored over the data, a flurry of reports began flooding in from across the globe. Ships vanished into massive whirlpools in the Atlantic. Eerie bioluminescent warnings flashed in ancient languages in the Pacific depths. Tsunamis of impossible size and power hammered coastal cities, leaving behind ruins scrawled with alien symbols. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Lee made a stunning discovery. The cetaceans she had dedicated her life to studying were far more than mere animals. They possessed technology beyond human comprehension and had been secretly preparing for this very moment for untold millennia. Commander Sullivan, his eyes haunted by memories of a childhood encounter with an otherworldly underwater craft, realized that his destiny was somehow intertwined with the unfolding crisis. He stepped forward, his voice steady despite the weight of the revelation. "We need to establish contact with the whales and dolphins," he said, his gaze locked with Dr. Lee's. "They may be our only hope." But before the team could act, the sky above the facility erupted in a maelstrom of fire and sound. The Nigean invasion fleet had arrived, and Supreme Chancellor Vox, driven to the brink of madness by his lust for power, had ordered an all-out assault on Earth. Alien fighters swarmed from the heavens like angry hornets, their weapons primed to reduce humanity's defenses to ashes. But as they descended, the oceans roared to life, unleashing a fury beyond imagination. Waterspouts tall as skyscrapers burst from the waves, swatting the Nigean craft from the sky like gnats. Titanic tentacles, glowing with the light of countless symbiotic organisms, erupted from the depths, dragging entire battleships down into the abyss. In a matter of minutes, the most powerful armada in the known universe was reduced to drifting wreckage. Amidst the apocalyptic battle, Dr. Jenkins and his team fought to establish contact with their newfound cetacean allies. Through a complex dance of clicks, whistles, and telepathic images, the whales and dolphins revealed the staggering truth. The oceans were a sentient, planet-spanning web of life, and they were its guardians, tasked with defending it against any and all threats. As the Nigean fleet reeled from the ocean's onslaught, a desperate Vox prepared to unleash a planet-killer weapon, determined to destroy Earth rather than let its power slip through his grasp. But before he could act, a colossal sperm whale breached beneath his flagship, its body shimmering with ancient, otherworldly energy. In a blinding flash, the ship vanished, dragged down into the depths along with the Supreme Chancellor's final terrified screams. With the immediate danger past, Dr. Jenkins and his team exchanged grim looks, the weight of their newfound knowledge settling heavily on their shoulders. The oceans, roused to fury, had to be calmed. The cetaceans, humanity's ancient and powerful allies, had to be properly introduced to the world. And the wounded Nigean Empire, its leadership gone and its fleet in ruins, still loomed on the horizon, a powder keg waiting for a single spark. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war for the future had only just begun. As the team prepared to face the monumental challenges ahead, they knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The oceans calmed, but the ripples of Earth's victory spread across the stars. In the aftermath of the Nigean defeat, Dr. Jenkins and his team found themselves thrust into a new role: interstellar diplomats. "We need to reach out to the survivors," Commander Sullivan said, his voice firm as he addressed the group. "Show them we're not the monsters they think we are." Dr. Lee nodded, her eyes bright with grit. "And we need to learn more about the cetaceans, their technology, their history. It's beyond anything we've ever imagined." As Sullivan led a team of SEALs into the debris-filled waters to search for Nigean survivors, Jenkins and Lee worked tirelessly to decipher the complex language of Earth's aquatic guardians. Days blurred into weeks as they made breakthrough after breakthrough. Then a transmission crackled through their communications array. A new voice spoke for the Nigean Empire, Empress Zara, her words measured and cautious. "We seek an audience," she said, her alien features filling the view screen, "to discuss terms of peace." Jenkins exchanged glances with his team. This was their chance. The meeting was set in neutral territory, a bioluminescent city deep beneath the waves. As Jenkins descended in a specially designed submersible, he marveled at the alien beauty around him. Schools of fish with bodies like living crystals darted past. Massive structures of coral and unknown materials loomed in the darkness, pulsing with their own inner light. At the heart of the city, in a vast chamber filled with swirling currents of light, Jenkins came face to face with Empress Zara. Her scales shimmered with an iridescent sheen, her eyes sharp and intelligent. "Dr. Jenkins," she said, her voice translating through a cetacean intermediary, "your world has much to teach us." As they talked, Jenkins realized that Zara was different from Vox. Where he had seen only a resource to be exploited, she saw potential for collaboration and growth. They spoke of shared defense, of cultural exchange, of unlocking the secrets hidden in Earth's oceans. Hours passed, and slowly a framework for peace began to take shape. It was fragile, built on trust that had yet to be earned, but it was a start. As the meeting concluded, a pod of dolphins swam into the chamber, their bodies glowing with bioluminescent patterns. They spoke directly into Jenkins's mind, sharing visions of ancient star maps and long-forgotten worlds. "There is more to learn," one of the dolphins said, "about us, about you, about the very nature of life in this universe." Jenkins nodded, his legs shaking from the implications. He turned to Empress Zara, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in her alien features. "We have a lot of work ahead of us," he said. Zara's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Indeed, Dr. Jenkins, it seems our journey together is just beginning." As they prepared to return to the surface, neither of them could have imagined the true scale of the adventure that awaited them, or the earth-shattering secrets that lay hidden in the depths of space and sea. The luminescent depths of the underwater city faded behind them, as Dr. Jenkins and Empress Zara ascended to the surface, their minds reeling from the enormity of what lay ahead. The journey to uncover the secrets of Oceanos had only just begun. Months passed in a whirlwind of preparations. Earth's finest scientists worked alongside Nigan engineers, retrofitting a fleet of ships for the perilous voyage into uncharted space. Commander Sullivan oversaw the training of a joint human-Nigan crew, while Dr. Lee continued her groundbreaking research into cetacean communication. Finally, the day of departure arrived. As the gleaming flagship Nautilus broke free of Earth's atmosphere, Jenkins stood on the bridge, watching his home planet shrink to a blue marble. Beside him, Empress Zara's scales shimmered with anticipation. "We're making history," Jenkins said, his voice barely above a whisper. Zara nodded, her alien features set in perseverance, and perhaps saving the future. The journey was arduous. Treacherous asteroid fields tested the skills of even the most experienced pilots. Marauding space pirates, drawn by rumors of the expedition's true purpose, harried the fleet at every turn. But through it all, the crew persevered. After weeks of travel, they arrived at their destination, a remote sector where ancient star charts hinted at Oceanos' existence. As they scanned the seemingly empty space, a crewman's shout broke the tense silence. "Contact! Massive artificial structure detected." On the console, an impossibly vast ring materialized, its surface etched with glyphing symbols. Jenkins' breath caught in his throat. "A wormhole," he breathed, "built by someone." Initial scans revealed a series of locking mechanisms, clearly designed to prevent unauthorized access. As the crew debated how to proceed, Dr. Lee burst onto the bridge, her face pale. "We've translated more of the cetacean language," she said, her voice shaking. "The only way to power those locks, it's the whales, their abilities. But the energy required, it could trigger a chain reaction, consume the entire galaxy." A hush fell over the bridge. Jenkins exchanged a glance with Zara, seeing his own conflict mirrored in her alien eyes. The choice before them was agonizing: risk galactic annihilation or abandon their quest and the secrets it promised. Before they could decide, an urgent transmission crackled through the comms. It was Commander Sullivan, his face grim. "Jenkins, we've got a problem," he said. "Remember those Nigan extremists after the Trident of Exor? It's worse than we thought. They're not acting alone." Sullivan and Captain Zinn, a grizzled Nigan veteran, had uncovered a chilling truth. The extremists were puppets, manipulated by an entity known only as the Vexelth, extragalactic horrors driven by an insatiable hunger to consume all matter and energy. "They've infiltrated the highest levels of the Nigan government," Zinn growled. "If they activate the Trident—" Jenkins' mind raced. The wormhole, the VXelth, the Trident. It was all connected. They needed to act, but the risks were catastrophic. In a risky move, Dr. Lee proposed a daring plan. Through a metaphysical communion with Earth's sentient oceans, they learned of the sea's ancient role in seeding the galaxy with life. Armed with this knowledge, they devised a method to safely channel the cetacean energy into the wormhole's locks. As they began the activation sequence, alarms blared throughout the ship. The VXL had launched a devastating attack on Earth's cities. The fragile human-Nigan alliance teetered on the brink of collapse. Jenkins gripped the command console, his fingers tightening. They were out of time. With a nod to Zara, he gave the order. "Activate the wormhole. We make our stand here." As the ancient mechanisms whirred to life, the vastness of space before them began to twist and warp. Beyond the threshold, glimpses of a shimmering world of endless oceans tantalized them. But between them and Oceanos stood the horrific forces of the Vaxelth and their Nigan pawns. The battle for the fate of two galaxies was about to begin. The wormhole blazed to life, a maelstrom of cosmic energy that engulfed the Nautilus and its fleet. Dr. Jenkins gripped his console as reality warped around them, the ship hurtling across vast distances in mere moments. As they emerged on the other side, a collective gasp echoed through the bridge. Before them lay Oceanos, a colossal sphere of shimmering blue that dwarfed any planet they had ever seen. Empress Zara's scales rippled in awe as she gazed upon the mythical waterworld. "It's magnificent," she whispered. But their wonder was short-lived. Dark shapes began to materialize against the backdrop of Oceanos, writhing forms of impossible geometry that hurt the eyes to look upon. The Vexelth had arrived. "All ships, defensive formations," Commander Sullivan's voice crackled over the comms. "Prepare for engagement." The battle erupted with furious intensity. Nigene warships unleashed salvos of energy weapons, while Earth vessels deployed experimental sonic cannons designed to disrupt the VXL's molecular structure. Yet for every shadowy tendril they destroyed, two more took its place. Dr. Lee's voice cut through the chaos. "Jenkins, we're detecting massive life signs from Oceanos itself." As if in response to her words, titanic forms began to emerge from the planet's depths. Space whales, each larger than Earth's moon, glided into view. Schools of bioluminescent creatures swirled around them, forming intricate patterns that pulsed with otherworldly energy. The Vexelth recoiled, momentarily stunned by this new development. Then, with renewed hunger, they surged toward Oceanos and its guardians. What followed defied description. Cosmic leviathans clashed with entropy-born horrors on a scale that made the Allied fleet seem insignificant by comparison. Beams of pure creation lanced out from the space whales, while the VXLTH countered with void dark tendrils that consumed everything they touched. "We're outmatched," Zara said, her voice tight with tension. "Even with Oceanos' defenders, we can't hold them back forever." Jenkins nodded grimly, then turned to Dr. Lee. "What about the communion? Any progress?" Lee's eyes were unfocused, her mind clearly elsewhere as she communed with the depths of Oceanos. "There's something. A power unlike anything we've encountered. If we can just—" She was cut off as the ship rocked violently, alarms blaring throughout the Nautilus. A Vexelth tendril had breached their shields, slowly corroding through the hull. "Now or never, Doc," Sullivan growled over the comms. Lee's eyes snapped open, blazing with an inner light. "We have to channel it. All of it. The entire world ocean." Without hesitation, Jenkins gave the order. Through their cetacean intermediaries, they sent out a psychic plea to Oceanos itself. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The entire planet seemed to convulse, its surface roiling as if alive. Then, with a sound that transcended hearing, a colossal wave erupted from Oceanos' core. This was no ordinary tsunami. It was evolution incarnate, a force of pure creation that swept across the battlefield like divine judgment. Where it touched the VXLth, their corruption dissolved into harmless foam. The shadow forms dissipated, unable to withstand the raw power of life itself. As quickly as it began, it was over. The VXLth were gone, leaving behind only scattered remnants of their dark presence. But Oceanos, too, had changed. Its once vibrant surface now lay still and barren, the price of unleashing its ultimate weapon. In the stunned silence that followed, Empress Zara turned to Jenkins, her eyes filled with a mix of awe and sorrow. "We've won, but at what cost?" Jenkins could only nod, his gaze fixed on the now lifeless expanse of Oceanos. The battle was over, but he knew their journey and their responsibility had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.